Welcome to the Honor It All podcast. I'm Honor Garrett, your host, and we're here to honor all that is good in the world. Each podcast, I interview top professionals from around the globe who are making a difference, impacting lives, and creating positive change. Today, we have a real treat. Our guest is Dr. Robb Kelly. He's a world-renowned addiction consultant who believes in treating the problem, the root cause of addiction, not the symptoms. Dr. Kelly was born in Manchester, England. He grew up in a family of musicians, and he attended the prestigious University of Oxford. He graduated with a PhD in psychology and has a doctorate in behavioral science. Dr. Kelly's methods are sometimes considered unconventional and unorthodox, but I'm going to let Dr. Kelly tell us about what he does and how he does it. So welcome.
Hi, Hannah. Good to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Well, I'm so glad to have you, and I think what you do is so needed in the world today. So I want you to tell me a little bit about yourself first.
Well, my name is Robb Kelly, and I come from Manchester, England, like you just said. I grew up in a working class family, and I had my first drink of alcohol when I was 9 years old. I was thrown onto stage in a musical family, which kind of kicked my alcoholism off, just in case anybody doesn't know. I'm an alcoholic who's been in recovery for a long time. And my upbringing was just working class, but I was a musician. I always wanted to be a musician. So I paid my way through life working in bands from a very early age, but basically earning big money in recording studios. So I worked at Strawberry Studios, which is well-known, 10cc on that recording studio in Stockport. And then I went on to Abbey Road in London, and I've done sessions with Elton John, David Bowie, Queen, all them guys, which kind of aided me to afford the college that I went to. Otherwise, my family wouldn't be able to afford that. And I came over here 13 years ago and now reside in San Antonio in Texas. And I love me some Texas heat, for sure.
Yes, I'm in Easton, Pennsylvania, and it's actually still a little chilly. So I wish I was in Texas. So I love that you are a musician. So you definitely have a creative side, and you were somehow able to get out of and recover your own of addiction. So is that what prompted you to start this recovery program?
The actual time when it did was just before. I knew I had a problem with drinking, but I couldn't understand alcoholism, and people of that time, I'm talking about 70s and 80s, didn't understand alcoholism. But there was a defining moment for me which set all this studying of the brain off that I do, the neuroscience, the neuroplasticity that I work on today, and the neural pathways, is I'm stood outside a liquor store one morning. It was like 7 a.m. Liquor store open to sell newspapers, but couldn't sell liquor until 12, but he always sold me stuff. It was freezing cold. I had like a t-shirt on, a pair of shorts. I was shaking. I was going into DTs. I was in a real bad way. And the shopkeeper opened the door, and I went in, and I says, "Can I have my bottle of vodka?" And I put my 10 pounds on the counter, and he put the bottle on the counter, and I grabbed the bottle. And as I grabbed the bottle, my whole being changed. And this is what I did. And it was then it hit me. It's not the alcohol you have a problem with, Rob. It's your mind, your brain, and your being, including the central nervous system. And shortly after, I became homeless, and then had a big spiritual awakening on the streets. And then I set off with this program I created 28 years ago. And it's been a phenomenon ever since, because I'm so passionate about doing what I do, but it all comes from that time on the street where everybody had given up on me, including myself.
Wow. And so how were you able to dig yourself out of that? Did you have a mentor, or was it just that defining moment where you realized, especially with your education, there was something you could do about it?
Yeah, well, I had at 2:30 in the morning, Sunday morning, I dropped down to my hands and knees. It was pouring down. Somebody had stolen my sneakers. It was freezing cold. I remember looking into the sky and saying, if there's a God or something up there right now, I can't do this on my own anymore. There's a guy walked around the corner with a little Bible in his hand, and he said I could stay at his house, and he took me to an AA meeting, and there was another defining moment, which was like 2 days after the first one, where somebody shared in a meeting I was at that he was a recovering alcoholic, and it's not about the alcohol. And I went over to him, and he took me through this program that completely changed my life. And when I look back now on the homelessness that I was in and the poverty, 3% of people on the streets in Manchester, the United Kingdom, get off the streets. 97% die on the streets. So I died twice on the streets. I actually died for seconds and minutes, alcohol abuse and stabbing. And I swore if I ever got off, that I would spend the rest of my life helping families and people with addictions. And I'm talking all sorts of addictions. My program is not based on an alcoholic or an addict. It's based on thinking. It's based on, we can take the alcohol and drug away from anybody. What can we do with the life after that? Because after you take alcohol away from me, you're still left with me. So how can I change the way I think? How can I change the way I am? And how can I change the way people perceive me from this selfish, self-centered person to this person who's always giving back and trying to do good for other people? So, people often say, well, why do you just work with alcoholics? I don't. Like 30 or 40% of people who come to me have an alcohol or addiction problem. The rest just want a better life because they're kind of stuck in this mental image, and it all comes down to trauma. That's what it's all based on. Wherever there's addiction, there's trauma, always. And we found that if we work on the trauma, you can fix anything you want in your future today.
Because that trauma actually caused some kind of neurologic impact on your brain, right? And
yes,
you, it's just so amazing how powerful our mind is. And that's where I love what I do as a coach, because there is something you can do about it, but you have to choose that as well. So tell me about your program. Who's your ideal client? Who comes to you, and how do you help them?
It's always word of mouth for us because we have a great reputation in the right places. And I don't think there's an ideal client, but we like people who's already been through treatment, who's already tried it the wrong way, or with the aid of somebody else and failed. And at this point of their life where either they feel lost, or they feel as if they can't go any further, or they suffer from an addiction problem. You see, one of the traits with the addicted brain, and again, not specifically alcohol, just the addicted brain, is I have self-sabotaging neural pathways. I'm born with them. So when trauma comes across my life, it reacts differently to me than it does with other people. And my comfort blanket I found was alcohol. It could have been pills, it could have been sex, it could have been the gym. In fact, for a long time, it was the gym. But I go down that route every single time. So it's anybody who's in that position who wants an amazing life. And I don't promise them a great life. I promise them an absolutely amazing life. Otherwise, I will refund every single dime that you've put into my office. Because I truly believe with a passion that if you know what you're doing with the human brain, you can change a person's life. So only 10 years ago, we found out that the brain is plastic, neuroplasticity. We can mold and change anything we want to. We can build new neural pathways off them. So if I was going to learn how to bake a cake, that would be a new neural pathway for me. So the repetition and strengthening and confirming of them neural pathways, for which there are billions, creates this better life. And all of a sudden, I begin to love myself. So it's those people who don't love themselves who we're after.
Wow. Well, I don't know if there is anyone in the world who hasn't actually had some tendency to some kind of addiction. For me, it was exercise or dieting or getting thin. And then you have to rewire to go really think about being healthy and living really your best life. So tell me your vision for your business and where you are trying. Do you have a vision for the future, where you want to go, or what's on your mind about your program?
Well, 27 years ago, I created this program, and 13 years ago, I came to Dallas in Texas. I came there for 2 days or 3 days to do a conference. I was speaking at a conference and never went back home. So I had this idea of changing the addiction world, but not concentrating on the alcohol. So I created this program called the 3D model. And we built a business that rapidly grew in Highland Park. We had offices in the medical building in Highland Park. And we were very, 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 very successful and very busy for a period of time. 2 years ago, I decided to retire from the industry and move to San Antonio. So we came down here only to find that people still need help and people are still calling me. So my vision from last week is to create an empire, is to create a 100-bed facility in San Antonio with the help of other people, obviously donating and sponsoring, for people who can't afford to go into traditional treatment. And then build another 100-bed exclusive treatment center where people who have tried treatment over and over again but are afraid for the public, because there are these people who don't want other people. It's still a taboo subject to recover in a peaceful way using the unit and telehealth as well. Telehealth is a big part of our anonymity with clients because they don't have to come to an office. I know in Highland Park, when in Dallas, when I was there, it was a huge place with my name all over the front door, and everybody in Highland Park knew what I did for a living. So there wasn't much anonymity. So we created this telehealth. So that's my vision for the future.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, tell me, when someone takes your program or enrolls in your program, what does it look like? So is it not is it at an office? Is it all on video? How do you run your program?
So first of all, before we will take you on, you have to pass an assessment. And the assessment is me finding whether we can work with you and we can get to a place that you've never been before in your life and continue to be there for the rest of your life. So 80% of people who come along fail the assessment. And then once you pass it, 20% do. You do an hour a day, every day, via telehealth, unless you live locally and you can come into our office. You do 5 days with me, 1 hour a day, and 2 days with my psychotherapist, who will take you through what's called ACA work, it's Adult Child of Alcoholics, which you don't have to be an adult child of an alcoholic. It's just an absolutely amazing program to get your life together and find out. Because one of the biggest traits that we have, and I have, and I'm not sure about you, Anna, because the addicted brain means we're brilliant. It doesn't mean we're alcoholics. It means we're brilliant at what we do. It's like you are, I am, is we're never thin enough, tall enough, blonde enough, or rich enough. And that's our trait. Once we can get out of that mind thinking, we can open ourselves. And I always remember, I was a professional bodybuilder. I was always careful the way I looked. I dieted for 40 years. And since I hit 50 about 7 years ago, my body's like looking at a bag of chips and I put 5 pounds on. So I'm all conscious and I'm always killing myself for TV, because I do a lot of TV, to try and diet. And my wife said to me once, and it was only a couple of years ago, instead of loving your body for other people, why don't you love your body for what it is? And since that day, I've changed the way I eat, the way I live, and the way I look at myself. Because if I gained 10 pounds, I would never take my shirt off. I'd be so embarrassed. I'm not that today. So I'm even working on myself today, which is really awesome. So the program is always evolving. I'm always looking at new neuroscience, new behavior challenges. So for instance, in that hour a day, let's say they came to the office an hour a day, and then what we do, like 2 or 3 days in the office, and then we do 2 days out in the community, working on stuff that they're not very good at. Like most of us who have the addicted brain are very awkward sometimes. So we would one guy came to us, he couldn't speak to women. So we staged a whole bar once with these paid actresses, and we took him in and he started speaking to these women, and it was an obstacle. Once he got over it, he never found out that they were staged women. But then he went out to get a girlfriend who then got married, and stuff like this. So there's nothing that we won't do to make sure we get into that place. And I think that's why we're different to anyone else. And the passion that I have to make sure that I succeed.
That's wonderful. So it sounds like that was a really neat story. Is there any other really memorable story about a client or a really huge success that you want to share with us?
Yes, I want to just come to mind now. And we picked a B-list, possibly C-list now actor up from the LA County Jail. And we went over there, a couple of minders, myself, and a manager, and we picked him up and we spoke to the judge. And the judge said that Mr. X, we shall call him, will be in your care, but you'll be responsible for him. So we had a little meeting and decided, okay, we're going to take this guy. I'm going to take him back to Princeton, which is just outside Dallas, to our ranch. And we did. We put it's very well known. We put a pair of sunglasses and a baseball cap, and we jumped on our private jet, and then we come into Dallas and then helicoptered him into the ranch. So nobody knew where this guy was. He was a beaten up actor by now. When we were actually in the ranch, we were telling constantly that your acting career will take off, because once we apply the program to the brain and the neural pathways, the self-sabotaging will go and the self-seeking will come, where you want to be an absolute A-list superstar. The 7th week into the program, the doorbell went at the gate, and it was an envelope, big, thick envelope, for this guy, Mr. X, and the chauffeur brought it through, and I give it to Mr. X, who was by now starting to believe in himself, and he opened it up, and it was a script for one of the biggest franchise movies in history, of which he was the main character. And from then on, he's gone on to be this amazing guy. But that's the stuff we do, and just to see him in the movies is phenomenal. It gives me chills every time I see him, and he sends me Christmas cards and stuff like that. But yeah, we got a bunch of them.
Yeah, it's just amazing to be able to see a life change and know that that you've been able to create something that actually works. Do you have any words of wisdom or insight that you'd like to share with our audience?
Of course, yes. So my experience, my education, my training, and my development of a program working on the brain is that no matter where you are in life, I don't care whether you're sweeping roads, I don't care whether you're a CEO, I don't care what you do for a living, if you're not happy, you can change that way. You can change the way you think, therefore change the way you act, therefore change your environment. And it is so real that people don't want to ask for stuff, ask God or the universe. Let's say the universe, they go, there's no such thing, or, it's not going to happen. Try asking, seek help, get yourself a good coach like Honor or myself, get yourself somebody who knows what they're doing, and watch your life take off. Fear will stop you doing everything in life. Fear will stop you doing everything that you want to attain in life. Forget fear. It's not real. What we do as human beings is we make practical decisions based on fear. I'm going to say that again and let it sink in. We make practical decisions based on fear. I'll take this safe job. I'm not going to try for that because I'll do this because I know I'll get this. You've got to reach for the stars. You've got to go out there and grab anything. You get one chance at this, one chance at life. And I know for a fact, when I was young, about 9 years old, I was outside my school and I sat down to an old man and he said these words to me. He said, son, I'm 92 years old today. He said, and I've done everything I want to do. Please don't be one of those people who are scared to do stuff. Grasp everything. And that's why I ended up at Abbey Road. And that's why I ended up where I am today as one of the best addiction guys in the world. Because that's what I class myself as. And I've done everything I want to do because fear won't stop me. I signed an office lease in Dallas for like $1 million 10 years ago, and everybody freaked out. And my answer was, what are they going to do to me? That hasn't already been done. See, I don't have fear today. And I think if people can see that, and the other thing I want to leave people with, and this is great, is we don't believe in ourselves and we don't know who we really are. And if we could swap places for 2 minutes, I tell the clients, 2 minutes, all your problems would be over. And it's so true.
That's great. Yeah, I don't know why we make up these stories in our head. And I know it's based on our past trauma and experiences. And I always try to tell my clients, when one of those thoughts comes into your head and you have that critter brain, ask yourself, is that true? Is that really true? Because most of the things are based on something that happened so long ago when we weren't even mature enough to understand, and our brain had to figure it out and adapted, deleted, and morphed it into something that made sense to us, but it doesn't. It's not real.
At the time, no, it did. And let me tell the guys that are watching now, if you think that there's something wrong with you, if you think that you're not good enough, if you think that you can't attain a certain place in life, I'm here to tell you, unfortunately, somebody put that there in your mind, because that is not the truth. Somebody has put that there in your past to tell you that you're not good enough, because you are, and you can do anything you want. And anyway, if you are one of them people, stop being selfish. There's a bunch of guys behind you who need you to go out and do stuff with your life and attain these things that you want to, so you can be an absolute living legend for the people that are following you, because that's what it's about. It's not about me today. It's how can I help my fellow human being? What can I do? I'm often driving down the road and I see, you know, an old lady at the gas pump, and she's got like 6 kids with her, a broken down car. I'm pulling over, I'm filling a, you know, the car with gas. I'm looking in the store, HEB, and I'm buying people. I'm always doing this stuff because it's good to be a human being, and it's good to be a kind one. And the other slight twist on that is, every time I say thank you to somebody, or someone says thank you to me, a little tiny bit of dopamine is released into my brain, and it makes me feel good. And I like feeling good.
Well, I mean, and that is what it's all about, paying it forward. And it's all about relationships. But the first relationship that we have, and the first person we need to love is ourselves.
Big fact. Yes.
Love everyone.
And I never did. I never loved myself for a long time. I told you I did. Like when I was a bodybuilder or a musician, I actually played on stage with Queen when I was doing some session work with them. I looked amazing, but I hated myself. The hatred inside for me was unbearable sometimes. And I'm the guy at the end of the night would be the fun of the party and go home and cry himself to sleep. I hated myself that much. And it's that change. And unfortunately, guys, you can't do it yourself. You need outside help. You need somebody who can tell you who you really are.
Well, Rob, it sounds like you are the person who, you know, can take someone who is thinking, I have this addiction, but I don't want to give it up. And, you know, I want to, but I can't help it. And I feel so bad about myself. And shift that paradigm into, instead of, I have to do this, I'm not going to be able to drink again, my life is going to be boring, to, I get to choose life, choose love, choose to be amazing. And that's what you're giving people.
That's it. Life has to be a billion times better today when I'm not drinking, when I was drinking. Now, this is the guy that was drinking vodka and taking cocaine with Elton John at the penthouse suite at the Savoy Hotel. I'm that guy. I was just did some session work. Does life get any better than that? Anna, it has to for me. And that's what I'm telling people. If you've got an alcohol or drug problem or just down in the dumps, I will pull you out. I will fight toe to toe with your disease, with your depression, whatever it takes to bring you out, because I'm living proof that this can happen. I'm homeless. I'm living in a box underneath a bridge. Today, I'm a self-made millionaire. And the reason why I say that is not to brag on wealth, but to brag on what is possible. If I came from a family that was wealthy, I didn't. I came from a trailer park. And the only thing that's got me here today is my God and my passion that we can do anything. And you can as well. I don't care what you're doing. If you've got any sort of addiction problems, I'm your guy. I'm telling you now, I'm your guy.
Wow. It's so exciting what you do, and I so appreciate it. So tell everyone how we can get in touch with you.
Well, my name's Robb Kelly. It's R-O-B-B, Rob with 2 B's, K-E-L-L-Y. So robkelly.com. Dr. Robb Kelly on Facebook. And if you can't take all that in because you're driving or you've not got a pen, Google Robb Kelly with 2 B's. Just remember, Robb Kelly with 2 B's. I'm all over Google. Everyone knows who I am. Get into contact. And the other thing is, when you call, you won't get hold of my staff. You'll get hold of me. If you're feeling down and you just want to talk to someone and go, hey, Rob, what do I do now? I'm feeling like this. Call me. I love to get them phone calls. Love them, absolutely. And email again, rob2bs at robkelly.com. And I hope to speak to you soon, guys, because it's an amazing life. It really is.
Rob, thank you so much for coming on and letting me interview you and being a guest today. You're such an inspiration and such a great addition to my Honor It All podcast, because we want to honor you and you're trying to honor those who need help. And I just encourage anyone, this may not be speaking to you, but I bet you know someone in your life that needs help. And if there's anyone that's qualified that will make lasting change in someone's life, it's Dr. Robb Kelly. So I hope you'll look him up. When I post this, I will definitely put all of his information in the comments, or you can reach out to me if you want to get in touch with him. And thank you again, Robb, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Anna, for having on the show. You're always awesome to speak to. I do so many of these. I never get excited about it. I never do because I do so many. But I was so excited to get on with you because you're awesome, absolutely. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. And I know that we'll be working together in the future for sure. Thanks so much.